Alrighty then, it's time for a Sejuani game. By far one of the most requested junglers for the preseason. Which one? As she recently received some changes that people are very interested in knowing about. By how effective they are. Of course, I'll tell you this, there's two ways to play in her right now. The classical way, where you max out E first in the jungle so you can gank better, or the W way so you can clear the jungle better, but your slow kind of suffers and bad stuff happens and shit. But still, recently, Riot decided to nerf the hell out of her Q so she can't use that as a big old bursty execution of death thing, and sort of moved it to her W. The problem with that is the W tends to be really difficult to use, and her E. But they made her E a lot more reliable, especially as it levels up. The cooldown is much more manageable. You can use a spam and E spammier, but it does a lot less damage. So it's a trade. They made a lot of trade-offs here. They traded off a lot of damage for more reliability in her CC, and her W just straight out got warped. It's really strong if you build AP, but it's still it's not exactly as bursty as before. Anyways, look at this gank. I do the classic go behind the Jace and not waste my gap closer thing. I always recommend people do. I apply my slow, bam, you see, apply the slow, then I use my Q to close the gap, and you see he uses flash. There, he's doomed. I sort of hover around to see if I could do it again, but he wards and I walk away. So now I just loop around, because I figure he wants to harass this Vladimir, and he used his gate to harass him, so I know that even if he sees me coming, there's no way he's going to escape. He already had burned his flash, and look again. Once he knocks me back, after I apply the slow, I just use my Q, and I make sure to give the Q to Vladimir so he can snowball this lane a lot better. So top lane secure for now. Anyways, I forgot to mention my runes and masteries. Magic Penetration Red, Armor Yellow, Magic Resistance Blues with some cooldown reduction blues, Spellvamp Quince, 0, 16, 14 masteries, and I hope you saw that I still got my ass kicked in the jungle. Seems Riot will never fix this. They really need to give her some form of sustain aside from her shitty ass passive. By the way, here I figure I'm gonna die, so I might as well try to delay her from getting close to Zed. So he managed to survive, and it was due to my sacrifice. Though it was also kind of a little bit too much of a gambly gank, and it worked out. And still, now I know that Orianna has absolutely no flash, because if she had a flash, she would have used it to have escaped from that gank. So I just walk up to her as soon as she uses her Q to harass, and me and Zed pretty much tear a new one. And once again, I hope you see, I use my Q only to close the gap after I've already gotten on top of her. So there's no wasted ability in that. Of course, the Q does way less damage now, so I hope you notice how I'm ranking up my skills. I rank up my Q last. I believe I put 3 points to the W, and then I rank up my E. That's so I can bring up its effectiveness, and I can deal a bit more damage with the W with the clears. I'm not investing in AP, so getting too much ranks on the W will kind of be a waste. I'm not going to make it hit as hard or whatever. And honestly, rank 3 W is good enough to clear in the early game. I tried. My teammate is actually mad, telling me to come gank bottom. So I sort of went there, but it felt like Orianna was going to come down, so I kind of go back mid lane. But watch this. I don't know if the Orianna was taunting the Zed or whatever, but she stood still, and this made landing my ultimate piss easy, and therefore just another Orianna death. That's 3 deaths for the Orianna in her lane. So right now my Vladimir is dominating, and my Zed is dominating as well. Only my bottom lane is getting its ass kicked, though the Zed just died right now too. I go down bottom, but it looks like they have vision of this. Not just the tri-bush, but this little bush here decided to hide because they play defensively. And then, of course, Lucian just shoots me in the face, which I think is one of the stupidest things you could do. If he had not done that, I might have wasted more time here. I always hate when they do that. It's like, why? You want to play more aggressive? Now I'm just going to try to find an alternate way to get in there. Of course, the enemy team engages with the Jinx, and Thresh leaving the Lucian alone made me think that the ward had run out. And instead of going to the Lucian, I decide to go to where he's going to be and just kind of finish him off. Thresh gets away, and, happy merry day for us. Here's a really bad situation here, bad juju or whatever. I didn't want to go for Dragon. I even said, let's not do this. But I can't leave them alone, because if I'm not there and it just gets stolen for free, then we die. I mean, we'll suffer. It gets stolen anyways, and then we die anyways, so my worst nightmare comes true. I die first. Well, no, the Morgana dies first, and then I die, and my teammates kill Oriana, and they kill the Thresh, but then Jinx is actually gonna die right here. Like, Lucian shows up. If Lucian hadn't shown up, they probably would have been able to kill the Vi, and it would have been a lot better than it was. But no, I don't like doing Dragon without having our abilities up. I had just burned my ultimate, and my teammates have just burned their abilities. It's just not too smart to fight without your abilities. So, I mean, if you had completely wiped them out or killed their jungler, I wouldn't mind. But if they have a good shot of stealing it and a good shot of initiating a fight, then I always tend to get worried. And of course, there I just missed my smite by a few, because I think she stole it with an auto attack. That really hurt my pride. Anyhow, the new Sejuani, she still loves getting the cooldown reduction because you still kind of want to be spammy because your gap closer is complete crap. It's probably one of the worst gap closers in the game. It's like sluggish. It's like throw all your fat on something. Well, you're already a pig. And her W's, gimpy to use, and her E is much more spammable now. But I mean, I like it. I like having the cooldown reduction on her just because I like to use my ultimate. You can see that rushing Glacier Shroud and now Frozen Heart, my ult, and of course Juggernaut. My ultimate is pretty much up all the time. This is a bad ultimate though, and the follow-up is pretty bad too. But fortunately, they sort of waste a lot of spells on me, and then my teammates just get to pretty much tear them to pieces. There goes Vi, there goes Thresh, and the Oriana. So my death was completely worth it if my two biggest carries just sort of started rolling. Well, not the biggest carry. Vladimir's God in our team. He's blood Jesus. So he's a manifestation of the blood and the nails. So, Sejuani, what are my opinions on her? She is no longer this like super oinky explosion assassin of AP-ness. She's more of a sustained damage dealer. I mean, kind of what Riot probably wanted her to be all along. Just pure sustained damage and not necessarily burst, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I never liked just going in with ultimates and just murking somebody unless I was trolling. Like I prefer to play more tankier, more useful kind of things like that. I don't mean like I'm not calling us killing people useless, but when that ultimate was purely useless, it was terrible. I mean I like basing myself more around utility and tankiness rather than insta-gibbing people. But to each their own. The AP Sejuani bursty playstyle was proven before it was nerfed, but so maybe sustained Sejuani thing will also become a thing. Still, I would say Riot did well. Did well. When I was playing Sejuani in this game specifically, she just felt very comfortable play. I felt stronger than I possibly had ever been. Like just the E, and well, not the W really. Just the E felt comfortable and nice. The Q sucks massive dick, like I already said, but that doesn't matter. It was unintentionally strong. And moving the power to the W allowed for one more important thing to happen. I've mentioned this before for a lot of characters. One of the biggest weaknesses for some champions is that they have 3 abilities that they all want to rank up. If you want to make your Q really strong, Sejuani, you would rank it up, but you'd have to sacrifice the power of the other abilities. I liked ranking up W because I wanted to clear. I also liked ranking up the E because, bam, deal some more damage. But I know that the Q was strong, so I would have to constantly change what I wanted to level and leaving one skill to be a limpy dick. But with this ultimate, beautiful. And I'm going to talk about the ultimates right now a little bit just to compare between a lot of jungle tanks. But yeah, that's a weakness. By now Sejuani having her gap closer be her dump ability, the one ability you don't really put points into until the very end, she's just become a little bit more usable, a little bit more manageable. Well, some may argue that having more, having to choose between which abilities you level up is, strength. It makes the game complex or something like that. It doesn't necessarily make the game better or the champion better. It adds some unnecessary weaknesses to the champion, especially in abilities that were never really intended to be as strong as they were. Anyways, This is without a doubt a commonly shared opinion that Sejuani's ultimate is probably the best initiation in the game for, well, jungle tanks is the most I can say reliably. Because there's some AP champions with really good initiations. By the way, here they all focus me and they kind of die as a result because they're in a horrible position. Sorry, let me clear my throat. So, imagine this. Well, actually, I gotta mention first. I don't know if Sejuani can be considered a tank if because she really has not that many tank qualities. Pseudo tank qualities, sure, but she has no built-in sustain, and she's more reliant on items than other tanks. And it just kind of feels like she's more in line with an AP bruiser than anything else. Anyways, those labels really don't matter much because you just kind of use them for their potential in team fights and potential in the game. So, anyways. Onwards to the ultimates thing. Sejuani's ultimate, I would say, is the best ultimate for initiation. Arguably, Malphite is also sharing a spot with her because it's probably the best, most simple, smart in form of initiation. Malphite is just click, click, boom, there you go. And it doesn't give much of a... I'll notice there's no sound effect when he goes in, except when it finally actually crashes, and by then it's too late. There's very little flash, so if you're not paying too much attention, you may not be able to escape it. All that other good stuff. It's a very quick ultimate; it just explodes in your face, and that gives it a lot of power. And it also acts as a gap closer, puts you right where Malphite wants to be, etc., 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 etc. By the way, here I'll go back to the ultimates thing because my team wants to do Baron, and I hope you notice how I sort of handle this. My damage is piss awful. Sejuani just sucks at doing objectives, so I use my fat ass body to just sort of guard it, blocking the team. You'll see right now. The second anybody gets close, I go into it, mush them away. Vi gets close, and so does the enemy Orianna. I just put my fat ass in front of them, and as soon as they clump up, I use my ultimate. Bam, clump up, go secure the Baron, so that Vi would have no chance of even contesting it with their smite. So, anyways, back to the initiation things. Think about Sejuani's is her has a more effective radius, and it's also at a range. And she has a gap closer to boot, allowing her to make some really interesting initiations. I mean, other champions have to worry about the angle of approach. They have to rely on other abilities to initiate. Malphite, he comes close, but he has to use his own body and whatever, and a bad angle might just fuck him over. But look at this. Look at Sejuani's initiation. I'm going to use my Q, go forward, and then toss my ultimate at the three people. It doesn't hit a Jace, but it hits these two, and then they get annihilated. No other jungler would probably have been able to do something like that without at least it being risky as shit. Malphite, I would have to use Flash. That's already a big red flag to its strength. A Flash, go in and slam them in the face. Mamumu, I would have to Flash over and on top of them and use my ultimate, or if I was not in range, Flash and hope my Q hits and then use my ultimate. But even then, Amumu's ultimate would give a big indicator that's going to happen, because the second you see someone get bandage tossed, the ultimate's most surely going to follow up. So you flash out of the way or some shit like that. Sejuani's is pretty much, Sejuani's has an indicator too, but the fact that it's done from a range and can be done from angles and just, from the safety of behind a wall or some shit like that, adds a lot of strength to it. So there's other things I could talk about for jungle strength for tanks, but I made several articles about that already, so you can just find them on Reign of Gaming. So the new Sejuani, I do like her. Well, she's not too new. The tweaked Sejuani, I will actually probably end up using her more. She still just needs some help not getting her ass destroyed in the jungle, and Riot just has to buckle down and give her some form of damage mitigation or some sustain of some kind. But other than that, it seems to me it was overall usability buff to her. They tweaked her damage, they lowered it in a lot of places, but she just feels more manageable as a sort of utility tank. And for me personally, I like that a lot. So hooray for Sejuani, and hooray for some positive balance changes. Hopefully they buff her sustain up though.